back to Build with the Plan with Coach David. These podcasts are put together so that hopefully you will be able to learn some of the issues and problems that I faced and know how to avoid them. Hopefully not pay the same price that I paid over the years of being in business. And over those years, I lost money, I lost family, relationship, that type of stuff. And that's the main reason why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to help business owners avoid those pitfalls and not pay the price that I paid. And today we're going to talk about innovate your way to the top of your industry. Now, what does that mean exactly? Am I talking about make sure you have the latest technology, software, AI, make sure everything's integrated, all that type of stuff? No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about innovation with technology or software AI. Yes, those tools are good and they should be some part of your business, but that's not what I'm talking about today. I'm talking about mainly the way you deliver your service. And today I'm going to focus mostly on service-based business owners. The product one, you can sort of fit that in, but today I'm going to talk primarily about service industries. So how are you providing your service right now? Chances are you are providing the service the same way you always have and the same way that everybody else does. And mainly because that's the way it's always been done. If you're an electrician, you get a call, you show up, you do the job, or you quote on it, you do the job, you get paid, you walk away, right? Or as a chiropractor, you show up, you meet with the doctor, you have your assessment, and then you have a course of action. You come in 3 times a week for 1 month, and then 2 times a week for 2 months, and then you come in and you feel like you're a number. Because every time you come in, you're only there for 5 minutes. You get in line with everybody else. When the bed comes free, you lay down. The doctor comes in. Hi, how are you? Gives you a couple adjustments, and off you go. And that's because primarily that's what everybody does, and that's what everybody teaches. So what am I talking about here? All right, let's just think about this. Okay, I'm going to go over 2 different, I already kind of touched on them, being an electrician, tradesperson, and a chiro or chiropractic office and the process that happens in there. Okay, so what are the key issues that you are fixing? Right? What is the problem that you're doing or you're solving at that moment? I want you to think about that. And the other thing I want you to think about, what other problems can you solve for that client? Yes, I know you're called in for as an electrician to fix a primary problem, but there's other issues typically that most clients have that either are fixed automatically in what you do, or they're ignored completely because they're unaware that they want that fixed as well. When we're talking about electricians, one of the issues typically are, they don't show up on time, that they could be messy, that they're unprofessional, you don't understand the scope of the work, and you don't understand the pricing, or the pricing seems to change from the quote originally started or quoted at the beginning. At the end, there's all these additional costs, and the client is left wondering why. So when you add all this together, if they're not showing up on time and they're not professional and they're messy, you don't understand the scope, this leaves the client feeling meh. Just normal, every day, nothing special. I don't know what to do differently. Would I recommend this person? Probably not, because nothing stands out, right? And then you talk about what other problems can you solve for that person. Well, for example, if you're moving a light fixture, you could leave a big hole that they need to get fixed somewhere else or by somebody else. Perhaps you're installing that light fixture, but their switches are outdated. They don't look very good, or maybe they're not even functioning quite right. But also, what about automation? There is so much automation now that you could fit seamlessly into someone's life. But if they don't know about it, then you can't solve that problem for them. Especially if they're, depending on their situation, maybe they want their lights to come on sooner. Maybe they want their heating, their furnace to turn up more. Maybe they want their lights to stay on to a certain time and then turn off. That type of stuff. So what could you do as an electrician to change that? What innovations can you implement that will help stand you apart? Remember, I want to set you atop of the industry. I want people to think about, what electrician should I use? I want them to think about you because of the process, because of the innovation that you've implemented into your business so that you stand above. Okay, so what are some of the things you could do? Well, obviously it starts right at the beginning when you're talking to a client or a prospect. They get on the phone. They say, yes, someone is going to come over and see you. His name is George. He'll be there at between 4 and 2 and 4 or 2 and 6. Like that's typically what normally happens. But what happens if you right from the beginning go, thank you so much. I want to take out some information. Maybe find out, do they have kids at home? Find out different things that maybe will present other problems that you can solve right off the bat. Don't be nosy. Just ask some standard questions because you want to understand the process or you want to understand their particular situation. And what that does alone, it makes them feel special. Okay, and then you can say, all right, George is going to come. I've got him scheduled to be there between 12 and 1. And I'm going to send you either by text or by email, your preference, a picture of that, that person that's going to come so that you don't feel like you're letting the wrong person in. You feel more secure because you know the picture, you see the picture, you can identify the person. And of course, make sure they are wearing a branded uniform. The unprofessional part that we've talked about in the past, that I just mentioned earlier, is that if they show up not wearing anything that can identify who they are from, and they just knock on the door and say, I'm from ABC Electrician, I'm told I'm supposed to come here and help you, that could be a concern. So make sure they're branded, that they look professional, that you send a picture before they get there. And when they show up, how do they approach the house? Do they have little booties that they put on so that they make sure that their feet don't dirty up the house? Or do they take off the boots and they have indoor shoes? Like these are the types of things. I know they're a little bit, and sometimes they can be slightly inconvenient. But can you imagine how the homeowner would feel if someone shows up with outdoor shoes, comes in, either puts on the booties or puts on indoor shoes to go into your house? Right off the bat, you feel like you are special, that you care, you and that employee care about your house. And come in and make sure they fully understand what is going on. And maybe point out certain things that could make it easier. If they're asking you to move this switch, move this light fixture, and there's going to be a hole in the ceiling, if you have already set up, a tradesperson that you could have as a joint venture partner and say, okay, I will have Frank come by. He will not throw in, obviously, but he will repair the hole that we make. He will patch it up. He will put mud on it and he will prime it for you. And if you have the paint for that area, he will paint it as well for you. So you don't even have to worry about any hole that's there. Or you look at any outdated or not functioning properly switches, that type of stuff, and you can offer to replace them. And before you start, you give them the scope and you say, okay, before you give them price, I talked about this in one of my business success minutes that I do daily in the mornings. But you want to make sure you present all the value before you give the price. That way the client understands. Their expectations are completely understood. You're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to move this here, you're going to do that, and you're going to, we're going to make sure it's patched, you're going to do this, you're going to make sure you clean up after. These little things, even though you might think, well, it's automatic, I'm going to clean up. Well, I've been in the industry long enough to know that not all tradespeople clean up after themselves. But if that's part of the scope that you're talking about, then that client knows before you begin to work that when you leave, it's going to be clean. That's what you want. You want them to know the value that you're bringing, the scope of the work you're going to do, and that it's going to be clean when you walk away. And that's when you offer the investment for you to perform all that value that you said. Now they feel good because they understand the scope of the project and they know the price. And yes, I know, especially when the trades, if you're a trade person listening to this, things crop up. But the best thing to do when something unforeseen shows up, you automatically stop, you contact the client and you tell them the situation. Okay, this was hidden behind the wall when we opened it up. This was here. I need to do this to rectify this issue, and that will be an additional X amount of dollars. Are you okay with that? You're getting permission from them so that when you give them the final bill, they're not surprised. They're not going, oh, this wasn't part of the quote. You need to make sure that you're communicating with the client on a regular basis, all through the process. And if this happens to be a multi-day project, I would make sure that before you start the job, they understand that it's going to be 3 days, that you're going to show up at 9 in the morning, and you're going to probably have a lunch around 12 o'clock. Just make sure you communicate, and that you're going to leave by 4:30 with the floor and cleaned up after yourself, all the tools we put away, especially if there are kids or animals that could be hurt by the tools. Now, this is the type of stuff that you need to make sure that you do. If you follow this process, then, or just these little things, and obviously there are more things that you can add to it depending on the situation. This alone, those small tweaks to your process, will make a huge difference, and that alone will put you in the top 5% in your industry. And that will go a long way from people talking about who should I talk to? You should talk to ABC Electrician, because when they come in, they gave me all this. They serviced me like this. I felt comfortable. I felt safe. I understood the pricing. I knew exactly what they were going to do. They were very professional, and they were always clean. That's what we want to talk about. All right. Now, I know I was going to talk about the Chiral process on this, but you know what? This podcast is going a bit long. So what I want you to take away from this is look at the way you do your service. What does your process look like? Is it the same as it's always been? Perhaps you've taken over a business and you keep doing the same thing that's been happening for the last 30 years. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that is wrong. Clearly, if you've been in business for a while, that process has allowed you to have a business that succeeds. But I want you to grow a business that gives you the business that you really want, gives you the financial freedom, gives you the time freedom that you really want. And that's why you started the business in the first place. So take a look at your process, okay? What are the key issues that you're solving for your client? But what other additional problems can you work into your service that can solve problems and make your client even happier. And then also look at what are the key mistakes or the key misnomers, or maybe even the habits of other people in your industry. As I was talking about, showing up on time, being messy, being unprofessional, not understanding the scope, and not being upfront with the pricing. So this is something I want you to think about. If you have any comments, please reach out to me. Give me a comment below. And also, if you could rate this, this would be fantastic. Anyways, until next time, Coach David out.